What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going over my free play title for the month of May, Tunic. So I should probably preface this video with the fact that when I started this game, I was expecting a Legend of Zelda inspired adventure. Basic combat, some light puzzle solving, the kind of thing that you would expect from a small studio making a game heavily inspired by the Nintendo games of yore. Yes, that sentence came out of my mouth. Anyway, what I got was something so unexpectedly mind-blowing, it made me reflect on how far gaming has come since the days of the 16-bit adventure. Now, there are spoilers inbound, okay? So if you are dead set on playing this game and don't want it ruined for you, I suggest you stop the video right now. It's very hard to talk about what makes Tunic so special without going over specific things that make it so special. On that note, this is your spoiler warning, okay? Spoiler warning. With that in mind, let's go. I don't know if I like that last part. Let's go.
In Tunic, you play as a little fox who washes up on a beach. How do we get here? I don't know. That question quickly gets shoved into the back of your mind when you see how Isometric Core Games has chosen to showcase their world. See, Tunic has tossed aside the pixels it was inspired by and adopts geometric shapes for the objects that make up its world. It's an awesome design choice, and paired with a fixed isometric camera perspective, it creates a unique world fit for exploration. And that's the crux of the game. You're dumped into this world, armed with what you know as a player, and the tunic on your back. Luckily, a standard playthrough of the game makes things fairly linear. For instance, where do you go from the beach? How about up 40 flights of stairs? See, you're drawn in this direction because as a player, you want to know what's at the top. And once you get to the top, nothing screams, "Go here," like a giant golden door. There's no puzzle solving involved with opening this door for the first time, because structurally, the story needs established in order to hook the player. The goal of the game turns out to be a tried and true formula. The player fills the role of a hero coming to the aid of someone in need. In this case, we've got to find a way to release this much larger fox that seems to have been trapped in geometrical hell. And that, folks, is what our adventure boils down to. Before I actually get into the game itself, I should probably take a moment to recognize how Tunic handles audio. Originally, I didn't have anything scripted detailing the sounds of our journey, and there's a reason for that. See, Tunic doesn't include any dialogue to tell its narrative. Instead, it relies on the interpretation of a silent story. Actions are played out on screen, only accompanied by sound effects and a soundtrack that I could only describe as game ambiance. Yes, there's a backing soundtrack. However, it reminds me of elevator music, but not in a bad way. It's complementary to the overworld and all of the environments the player explores. Nothing feels jarring. In fact, every sound in the game feels natural. Each sound effect belongs, each change in tempo is seamless. It's adventure ambiance at its finest. It's barely even recognizable, and that's why I didn't have a section dedicated to it in my script. After our initial escapades behind the golden door, our real journey begins. We make our way back down the stairs, collecting a key as we go, and head towards the door we passed 93 flights of stairs ago. Behind that door is the first part of something that makes this game so special. See, throughout our journey, we're tasked with collecting pages of a classic game manual, much like the ones you'd find packaged with most games for the first 30-odd years of gaming. These pages give us little hints on what to do during our adventure. Now, this manual isn't strictly written in English. In fact, 98% of it is written in a language native to the world of Tunic. It's the player's job to interpret the manual based on its images, the little English text provided, and the symbols that seem to be scribbled throughout the book itself. The more pages you collect on your journey, the more you understand the world of Tunic and the game itself. In this instance, our first page tells us our first objective: ring some bells that doubles as the game's tutorial. From here, we complete puzzles, defeat enemies, collect items, and begin to unravel Tunic's surprisingly deep story. Now, I'm not going to give you the play-by-play in terms of story. I'll let you adventure on your own for the sake of your own entertainment.
Do I drop like a bridge? Like what is? Whoa! Oh, that scared me. What is this? What is a boss fight? I didn't want to get into a boss fight. No! This is how you died!
Just understand that this game only spoon-feeds you when absolutely necessary. The developers assume that you've played an adventure game before, and the way that they've designed this game shows that. This means that you're probably going to struggle at times, but not in the ways that you might think. The overworld enemies aren't exactly threatening, and while the bosses aren't a cakewalk, they're completely manageable once you learn their attack patterns. Completing this game is entirely possible from a standard adventurer's standpoint. No, Tunic's true challenge lies in the harder puzzle-solving aspects of the game. You know that language I mentioned? It can actually be translated into English. Interpreting the secrets of the Holy Cross? Have fun with that. These concepts are just skimming the surface. I'm not even going to get into the Golden Path or any other in-game secrets. Tunic is chocked full of mysteries, and I'm not divulging them in a general review video. There's plenty of other YouTube videos going over that type of stuff. Speaking of which, I watched a lot of those. I only give myself 1 month to play Freeplay games, and beating them in that time period is somewhat asking a bit much of myself. Especially when I'm the type of guy who will wander around literally lost for hours. And boy am I glad to have went looking for help, because I would have never come close to properly finishing this game. Tunic has lore and secrets that I would have never imagined when I chose to play this at the beginning of May. Once I found out that those secrets existed, I 100% ruined any surprises the game may have had in store for me. Because once I knew that there was much more than meets the eye about this cute little polygon game, I was hooked. I did play through the game still, even after absorbing every ounce of lore I could find. The game was still challenging, and it's not like I spoiled the gameplay for myself. Did I still get hopelessly lost at times? Yes. Did I occasionally use Reddit to help me figure out where to go next? You betcha. There's no shame in looking for help with a video game, especially one as laborious as Tunic. This is where the game draws the most criticism. Players seem to fall into one of two camps. Like me, players have issues solving late game puzzles. As I said earlier, I would have never finished this game properly, admittedly I did not, without consuming copious amounts of YouTube videos and Tunic lore. Yes, the puzzles put a blindfolded Rubik's Cube solution to shame in some parts. Solving them conventionally, while possibly gratifying, would be a slog. The second camp consists of players who have issues with combat difficulty. As I said, standard enemies aren't anything too worrisome. However, there's a definite spike in difficulty when facing off against the bosses who guard the 3 keys to geometrical hell. One particularly difficult section comes endgame when you're tasked with defeating enemies sans upgrades. This section admittedly took me hours, and I can definitely see why players would offer this bit of criticism. Personally, I just put my nose to the grindstone and spent hours figuring out the best order to challenge enemies. I conquered this battle through trial and error and attributed my failures to a skills issue on my part, although I will 100% support the notion that there's a spike in difficulty in certain portions of this game. That being said, I casually made my way through 98% of this game. I stopped short of beating it, knowing that I would have to choose between a good ending and a bad ending. Now, nobody wants a bad ending. I wasn't going to spend another 2 hours fighting the air to suffer a terrible fate at the end. In comparison, I also wasn't about to try collecting the first and last manual pages in order to get the good ending. That would add so many more hours to my playtime, unless I was going to straight up look for all the answers I needed online. While I needed the occasional help, I wasn't about to blatantly cheat to finish this game. What's the point in that? I guess this is what ruining the story eventually got me. While I saved myself hours of assisted puzzle solving and boss fighting, I simultaneously eliminated my adventure's payoff. This sucks, but I still have no regrets. Ultimately, I was elated to have made it to where I did over the course of a month. In all, I played Tunic 3 days, logging a total of 14 hours, 26 minutes, and 58 seconds. I did not beat the game. I really need to reiterate, even though I didn't beat this game, I loved it. The puzzles, the fighting, the lore, every part of this game took something from the games that I used to play and put its own spin on them. Isometric Horror made the game manual an actual part of the game. They made cheat codes an actual part of the game. They took things that I would consider bonus material, things reserved for, say, bobblehead mode and story blurbs, and utilized them to beyond what's normally expected of those features. If you told game devs 30 years ago that one day a game would implement things that they included for fun, or as part of the standard packaging, as mechanics involved in its core gameplay, they would probably have laughed at you. I am consistently amazed with the state of modern gaming and how game devs continue to innovate within the confines of a particular genre. Tunic could have been a simple love letter to adventure games of the past. Instead, they built their game on a familiar foundation and added their own details to make their game stand apart from a standard adventure title.
All of this being said, I do think Tunic is worth a playthrough in 2024 and beyond. Albeit, I don't think I'll be playing it casually. See, once you uncover Tunic's secrets and start solving its mysteries, there's not a whole lot left to discover. Okay, there is a lot to discover, but I'm not going to get into that in this video at all. Okay, my point is, what makes Tunic so unique is in the way in which it presents its story. And once you unravel that, all that's left is a bare-bones adventure game. See, I thought I was playing a Legend of Zelda-esque adventure title. In reality, I was playing a very cleverly disguised puzzle game. And that's okay. I need to reiterate once again that I love this game. The story was so compelling, I ruined it for myself. I learned just enough to get through the whole game, and I didn't complete it because I already knew the ending, and I'm okay with that. Like, I was okay with spoiling the game for myself. That's a subject I would love to explore in greater detail. However, I'm having trouble expressing my thoughts on the matter. The most complete idea I have right now is asking you, are you playing this game right now? And if so, why did you make it to the end of my video despite my spoiler warning in the beginning? If that's you and you can answer that question, you understand what makes Tunic so good. It's a well-crafted narrative that you have to know the answers to, and you don't care even if it negatively affects your payoff. Tunic keeps me wanting answers to puzzles I can't solve. However, when I finally got those solutions, I achieved my goal, and I think that's what it all comes down to. See, I don't need to pick up Tunic again because I'm not playing Tunic for its battle mechanics. I'm playing for its puzzles. Speaking of battle mechanics, I will be playing Streets of Rage 4 on Friday nights in June. So if you like that kind of stuff, stop on by and hang out for a bit on stream. Other than that, like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel if you like this kind of stuff. I think I've rambled on long enough. With that, I'm gonna call it. Thank you so much for watching.